Well, welcome to the podcast, Eileen. We are very excited to have you on Take the Upgrade, and really excited to dive into this topic today of coffee enemas. So if that's something that interests you, if you're curious about it in the least, I think you're going to enjoy this chat that we're going to have. But first, I wanted you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how you got to do the work that you do today.
Well, I've been sick my whole life. I mean, the doctor pulled me out with forceps. My hips were twisted. I'd wear special shoes. I mean, I've been in pain my whole life. I grew 9 inches in 3 months. I got ran over by a car.
Wow.
I got a silver amalgam filling when I was 20 years old and then fell sick, became allergic to everything. And so I just became my own guinea pig because I didn't want to be on antihistamines and antibiotics and all these things that the doctors thought I just needed to live on. And so I started my process of sparing no expense of trying just about everything. And I was a nuclear power plant engineer. And I've done real estate. And so basically I turned my hobby into my occupation now. And so in a couple months, I'll be 60 years old and I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s.
Wow, that's awesome. So I love that you took your story and now you help people with their health. That's the best kind of stories to me.
Yeah, well, it's actually work is play now. So it's really what I'm supposed to be doing my whole life, so.
Yeah. So how do you work with clients now? Like, what do you kind of love to help them with? Is it just overall health? Or is it a specific area of health?
Well, everything's connected.
Yeah.
So you just can't segment out, an area of someone's health. You have to look at the whole, body process. And so I create tools that are easier to use, more affordable, that can help the body, take the straws off the camel's back and to begin to detoxify and heal. Yeah. So I like to be on podcasts. I like to give out a lot of educational information. I do some consults, with clients and do laboratory hair analysis.
Yeah.
But yeah, just generally, I'm spending more time inventing things, manufacturing things, just trying to find the better widget. And so through that education, we can help people.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I guess you are an engineer, so that would make sense, right?
Yeah, I think I got most of my creativity from my father. And it's just like I am like him where, you have a problem and you go to sleep on it and you dream about it and you see it and then you create it. And so that's kind of how that happens. It's like the flow just doesn't stop.
Yeah. That's interesting though. I think it's the gift from the Lord.
Yep.
Because everybody's mind doesn't think like that. Yeah. Yep. So let's talk about the topic at hand, which is coffee enemas. So if somebody is tuning in, which I would say probably many might be tuning in and they don't know anything about what a coffee enema is. And just by the name, they might be a little scared. So where would you start with somebody that was brand new and introduce them to this?
Well, coffee enemas have been around a long time. They're written about in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh.
And, Dr. Garrison, he used them for years working with cancer patients. But my favorite story about coffee enemas is when Hitler's army got cut off from supplies. So here they are operating on soldiers with no painkillers, no anesthesia. And the doctors were giving them plain water enemas. So a nurse decided to start putting coffee in the enema bucket because after all, it kept the doctor going 24/7. And a strange thing happened. Their pain dramatically reduced. And it became so famous that actually universities all over Europe and, Austria started taking rats and putting coffee water up their rectum to try to figure out what in the heck was going on. So it was validated as far as scientifically what a coffee enema was doing to the body. And it was pretty much the 12-minute mark where all the caffeine and the palmitic acid out of the solution disappeared. And they found that it traveled up the portal vein to the liver. So the portal vein looks like, if you go out and pull up your tomato plant, the little fibers and all the roots, those attach to the intestinal tract. To take things up to the liver to process them. And so the caffeine would go into the liver and dilate the bile ducts. So bile production increased dramatically, which has been found to change the intestinal pH, which makes it more conducive to the good bacteria. Now we know today that the bacteria in the gut will affect health in, tremendous ways. Like you can take a normal person and then do a fecal transplant with someone who has high blood pressure, that normal person will develop high blood pressure. It really, our immunity is like 70% in the gut. So besides changing the pH, another thing that they found that the coffee enema did was increased glutathione 600%. Now that's our master antioxidant. It's very anti-inflammatory. And when you take oral glutathione supplements, it's really hard to translate that into absorption.
Right.
So here's a way that you don't have to buy glutathione and your body will make it on your own. So that's absolutely fantastic. It was found to turn on enzyme systems, in the body. And literally, if somebody's only going to do one thing for their health, what I recommend is a daily coffee enema. Now, people against coffee enemas will say, oh, that is just going to deplete your body of minerals and, it's going to increase dependence and all this kind of stuff. Well, in 2011, when I went through my training to become a practitioner, I was challenged. Well, part of the thing is I had to agree to a daily near-infrared sauna and a daily coffee enema.
Interesting.
And so I started that process, and it was quite the trick, laying down on the floor and being able to have bowel tolerance to hold that for 12 minutes. Are you kidding me? It was like a minute. And then you get up and the mess goes everywhere. But, after 2 weeks of doing it every day, you develop the control, you get your system down, and you start feeling tremendous. And, it's something that I was in a car wreck in 2013, had to have knee surgery. And I was over at the physical therapist's, and, here I am just off of painkillers and anesthesia. And they had that S3 machine that was on Dr. Oz's show that you put your hand on it and measure circulating antioxidants. And they have this machine so they can sell you antioxidant supplements.
Right.
And on Dr. Oz's show, they had participants in the audience with colors of shirts representing the amount of antioxidants they had in your system. And Dr. Oz has 75,000, and the manufacturer of that device is saying, if you have 65,000 or more, you're just not going to get cancer. That's great. So the majority of people in the audience did not have 65,000. It was less than that. So here they are like, Eileen, put your hand on this machine. And I'm thinking, oh, great, this is going to be horrible, right? So I put my hand on there, 85,000.
Oh my goodness.
And they go, what antioxidants do you take? And I'm going, I don't take any antioxidants. I take my metabolic pack, glandular,
Yeah.
Sodium potassium ratio adjuster and digestive enzyme recommended by my hair analysis. Then I do a daily coffee enema, and I do a daily near infrared sauna, which also increases all that stuff. And they're going, oh my gosh, you're never going to get cancer. And it's just amazing, you know? And so I, at that time, had to have blood work done for all my surgery and everything. And every number was just right down the middle, just perfect.
Wow.
And then, you know, I also got life insurance at that time, and they wrote me for the highest class, healthiest class ever. And the agent was going, in my 5 years of history here, we've never issued an insurance policy for somebody this healthy. What do you do?
Yeah.
Daily coffee enema, near infrared sauna, you know, I mean, I always give clients the 2-week coffee enema challenge. And now I have a gizmo based on customer comments about how their knees hurt them or their low back, and they can't lay down, they can't get up.
Right.
So I created the Enema Fix, you know, of course, another gizmo that just takes a good idea and makes it better. It has like a glass 32-ounce jar that, you know, looks like this. And it has a adapter with the pump. You can prime out the liquid, and you can stand up in the shower.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can go as slow or as fast as you want. You can rub up the ascending over the transverse. You don't have to lay down. You could multitask with using, you know, the brush. This is what I do, you know, on my face and on, you know, to loosen up and fascia. This is the wood nub one because the dry brush won't work in the shower. But I mean, I multitask. I stack my hack.
I do like that. Yeah.
And so then, you know, when I feel like I need to eliminate, because I just, you know, fill up, you know, this, and I'll do halfway, and then I'll rub and, you know, just enjoy my shower. And then I will get out, go sit on the toilet and eliminate, and get back in, and I will fill again. So it's like a double back-to-back enema. And so it's not like people will freak out. Well, I can't hold it 12 minutes. Practice makes perfect. So if you can only hold it for 1 or 2 minutes, and it really depends on what you ate too, and what your digestive tract is doing, whether you can hold it 6 minutes and then go eliminate, or you know, then fill, but it's the total hold time. So that's what I teach people. And I give them the 2-week coffee enema challenge to do it every day. And then I say, I'm never going to bother you about it again, because they sell themselves.
Right.
I mean, I've had clients that couldn't even walk down their driveway to the mailbox because they were in such chronic pain that after 2 weeks had no pain, could walk down there. I had a husband and wife who came to my office, got their hair analysis, and the guy was on multiple prescriptions for allergies and depression and sleep, and, you know, just had all these symptoms. And so he says, okay, I'll do the daily coffee enema. When they come back for their results, it's like 80% of his problems are gone.
Wow.
And he's not even taking his medicine anymore. And he's sleeping, and he's, you know, more cheerful, just like a new person. And then, you know, when you start any detox program, you know, you might get Hexheimer reactions, detox reactions, and, you know, you have to go slow. So I'm cautioning them about, going slow, everything like that. And he says, no problem. I'll just take 2 coffee enemas in a day. I can handle anything.
So that's really an interesting thing that you bring up. Whenever you do want to go detox from some, you know, and do sort of that kind of protocol, your drainage pathways really need to be open. And this is going to help aid in that tremendously.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Very true.
Because you can have every imaginable symptom crop up, because when your body, people don't realize this about their body, but every cell in your body was created to have a certain mineral in the enzyme binding site. Like your thyroid gland has more selenium than any organ. Your bones obviously more calcium.
Yeah.
And the problem of it is when that element is not present from our food supply, or if we have a cellular issue and our body can't get that mineral to where it needs to go, the body actually grabs elements that are on the table of element chart that are next to that element. Like the body will grab lead and use it for calcium.
Okay, right.
The body will grab mercury and use it for selenium. And so, and then cadmium will be used in place of zinc. So when you're actually going through this process and these elements get released from cells, they actually travel in your bloodstream. And when they're traveling in the bloodstream, that's when you get every imaginable symptom. So with the coffee enema, with all that extra bile, it traps a lot of that stuff so it can be ushered out of the body to relieve a lot of those symptoms. And so that's why doing a coffee enema, another reason why it's just so important.
Right. No, I didn't know that. I knew that about the bile, of course, but I did not realize that about all the minerals. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so a lot of people will get into chelation and binders, but they'll not fix the reason why the body had to use that junkyard part. It's like we end up being like a jalopy where we don't replace our alternator, so we use jumper cables all the time, jump starting it, and then we drive it without the headlights,
Right. I'm all for fixing the original design, right? Just using these little band-aids because I don't really think people understand how much those are relied on now. And just understanding some of these things is really key. So I appreciate you explaining that. That's very helpful. Let me take it back as we kind of look toward the end of this conversation and just the stepwise approach to doing a coffee enema. Because remember, there may be some people listening that they say, this is all great, but I still don't really know what this process looks like. Okay. Not graphic, of course, but what does that process look like to do a coffee enema?
What I would do is to fill up this jug to about there.
And that would be equivalent to 4 cups?
Yeah, because this is like 32 ounces.
Okay.
So about, 30 ounces of, actually spring water is best. Second, like Berkey filtered water.
Okay.
Don't use reverse osmosis or distilled water because it's not as hydrating because of the surface tension and it's lacking the sacred geometry of the water on the water molecules. So structured water is great. And then there's a lot of ways you can prepare the coffee mixture. You can boil coffee and strain it. You can use a regular coffee pot. You can use a French press. My favorite is a percolator.
Okay.
So I percolate the coffee and that gets a lot of the caffeine and the palmitic acid out of the coffee, unlike just a French press.
Right.
And then like with the glass jar, I had people pouring hot coffee directly in it. And then they're saying, oh, it's defective because the glass jar broke. Well, this is not a coffee mug. This is a glass jar. You don't pour hot liquid in it. So you put in room temperature water and then you top it off with the coffee solution. Right. There's a lot of people that are like trying to do a coffee enema with straight coffee. No, you don't want to do that. That's way too much caffeine and palmitic acid, And so then you would obviously prime the liquid so it's completely filled. So you're not like pumping yourself with air.
Okay.
And then this is a flexible tip. Some people might want to put some kind of lubricant on this to go into your sphincter. But if you bear down, your sphincter will open and you can insert this. And then you can pump. You can lay down with this if you want. Or you can stand up, however, and then, you would massage your intestinal tract, because it's going up your rectum. So then on the left side of your body, your intestinal tract goes up. It's the ascending portion of it. And you can just, massage, and then the transverse, and you might feel knots and different things in there, but you can, massage it, and then it's just waiting.
Okay.
So
and once you get the liquid in, then it's best to wait. You mentioned the 12-minute mark, right? Right.
And so everyone trying this for the first time is not going to be able to hold it for 12 minutes. Right. And there's a lot of people out there who are dehydrated, because there's a lot of people who say, well, I did the coffee enema and nothing came out. Well, this is a hydration tool, because 80% of people are dehydrated. They're drinking the wrong kind of water, not enough water. They're avoiding sodium, so the water doesn't retain in their body. So they have frequent urination problems. And so if you don't eliminate after this, infusion of your, roughly 16 ounces, then even after the 32, you're going to need to do another one. You need to use this. It's kind of like an IV as far as hydration goes. So that's why you want to use purified water, mineral water, so you're not putting in more junk into your body.
Right. Okay.
And then, to eliminate. So if you're one of those people who are either constipated or dehydrated, you might want to just use a plain water flush first, before you do the coffee solution, and then you might find that you could hold it more. But that's pretty much how you would do a coffee enema.
Okay, perfect. Now you mentioned doing back to back, as far as putting in half of that liquid, holding it, eliminating it, and then doing that again.
Right.
So is that the best way? Or if you can hold all of the 32 ounces, what would you say?
I don't know. I do a lot of coffee enemas, and 32 ounces is way too much for my body. At a time. And so the 16 ounce seems to be pretty good, and people will normally have to work up to that much. So even if it takes them 4, maybe they're pumping in only a quarter. This is not about trying to be tough and feeling pain or discomfort. No, it's like, if you're discomforted and you can only get 8 ounces in, that is fine. And so then you just massage and wait and eliminate, and then refill. So even if you have to refill 4 times, and then that increases your total hold time exposure to absorbing the most caffeine and palmitic acid up your portal vein to your liver. And so, and then that's a lot of other people will ask me, well, can I use ozonated water with my coffee solution? And the answer is always no, because ozone is an oxidizer, and it will diminish the amount of caffeine and palmitic acid, and it will consume the oxidation and the extra oxygen. So it makes 2 therapies less effective.
Okay, that makes sense.
So bags, it's hard to clean them. I do have a bag that's on closeout that you can turn inside out and clean, but it's just not as good. I mean, I actually got the idea
too.
Yeah, I got the idea from a client who was using the bag, but he stood up and he rolled it.
Okay.
To where and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, just a pump, and get rid of the plastic and go with, glass. And I mean, the other materials here, it's all FDA approved and inspected and everything. But yeah, I mean, there's also the coffee enema bucket, but again, you've got to use gravity, you've got to lay down. And so
sometimes what I've noticed with that, because that's what I'm currently using, the tubes, it's hard to get down all the way down. And then sometimes it just doesn't go very fast. And so yeah, I'm experimenting with mine too, but I might be looking into yours. So I'll have to report back to you guys on that.
Well, I, stack my hacks. And so I bought a Kalima board. which
What's
is
that?
like about 4 foot long. It's got a hole. So you flip up the toilet lid, you put it on the toilet. It's got a splash guard. And then you put a little stool where your head, and you bend your knees and you lay down on your back. And then you can do a coffee enema and not get up. And then I put my near infrared lights on the ceiling. I had a little rolly cart. I was using high frequency. So I was like multitasking.
Okay.
But everybody can't afford a $300 Klima board. And I was actually going to make a better Klima board because I bought like 3 of them on the market and I didn't like. That's what I do. I buy all the gizmos and then I figure out what I don't like. Then I make the better widget.
Okay.
So I was getting ready to do that, but it was like an expensive thing. And then after the guy with the bag, I got the idea with this pump. And now this is all I use. I don't ever use my Klima board because this is just like so convenient. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And this has just been really great. You gave us some great information that is maybe more in depth, but also for the person that's just getting started, how this process works. And, there is some steps involved. I get it. It can seem maybe time consuming if you've never done it. You think, gosh, it's going to take me forever, but I promise you, and I'm sure that you can attest to this, the more that you do it, the better that you get at the process, and you're going to see how much better you feel. So you're going to want to keep doing it.
Right.
And even if you can't start out with every day, would you say that 3 to 5 times a week would be good? I mean, I know
even if you only did it once a week,
right? Okay, let's take it way back down.
Your health is going to improve. Right. I mean, there's nothing too small.
Sure, I agree with that. And just to give you a little tip, I know that sometimes the weekdays can be really busy. So maybe on the weekends you do it, Saturday or Sunday. I usually don't have much going on Sunday. So that's usually my day that I know I'm going to get one of these done because, it's got to be some planning involved with it. So just a little tip for you there.
And I wanted to mention that there's clients that are even allergic to coffee or very highly sensitive to caffeine. So I've had clients with coffee allergies that'll brew coffee and only put like 1/4 of a teaspoon of coffee in here to start there and then work up. And and caffeine sensitivity, sometimes, starting with a teaspoon. So if you're one of those people, it's still good for you. And then your body will build up to it and it'll be tremendous for you.
That's true. And I've also heard of people doing a coffee enema and then doing a water enema to maybe decrease some of the effects of the caffeine too. I've heard of that. So,
and then as far as the coffee, because Dr. Gerson recommends the light roast.
Okay.
So when I was, and then the doctor that I was working with recommended a medium to dark roast.
Okay.
So I've done both. And when I was doing everyday coffee enemas with the light roast, literally my skin turned green.
Oh, God.
So just go with the organic medium to dark roast. And there's a lot of coffees out there, people are hooked on caffeine. This is the 21st century. Sure. Every town practically has someone who has their own roasting machine that gets organic beans that you can actually order. Say, hey, I want to pick up this organic, dark or medium roast coffee beans. When are you roasting next? When can I come by? You can literally get coffee that was roasted the day before.
Right.
So you can actually, instead of going to the store, but, even if you go to the store and buy coffee that's been sitting in the warehouse for 6 months, it still benefits you.
Right.
I mean, even, if somebody in your house has a regular coffee pot and they're brewing coffee, even if you use that coffee, it's going to benefit you. So you can literally start anywhere.
That's a good point, because I know that from some of the things that I've read, and I was using a coffee that is specifically for coffee enemas. So you're saying you don't necessarily have to use that. You can use other coffees too.
You're going to get fresher if you find a local roaster.
Okay. Well, good tips.
They sell other coffees online that are like grown in the shade, that are lab verified to be free of all the microtoxins and the molds and everything like that. And like there's one brand in particular that is very low acid. Remember, the benefits of a coffee enema are having the palmitic acid.
Right.
So the light roast coffee has the most, but too much of a good thing can be out of balance.
Yeah.
And then the medium to darker roast has a good amount, but less of the acid. But you don't want to go with a coffee that is super low acid.
Okay.
Because you're just not going to, get the benefits.
Okay. That's a great explanation. So I really appreciate this, and thank you for sharing on all of your wisdom. I know you have a lot of knowledge that you've gathered over the years, so we appreciate you being on.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.